Okay, how's everyone doing today? Bruce Webb with the Bruce Webb team of realtors. Got a lot of information to go over today. We're going to do some things a little bit different. Today, I usually pick out a couple of communities and we talk about them, but today we're going to just talk about the marketplace. I got three topics I wanted to talk about. One is this similar to 2008? I know we've talked about this a little bit, but we got a little bit different angle on it this time. And home appreciation, it's all about supply and demand. So we're going to take a look at what's happening here in the state of Michigan as well as across the country. And we are also looking at the right expert to help you out through this crazy market that we have going on right now. So, these are great topics I think we need to talk about. Let's take the 15 minutes today and talk about them and make sure that everybody is on the same page here a little bit. So, first of all, thank you for joining me. As I said at the beginning, I'm Bruce Webb at Bruce Webb team of realtors. We work out of Preferred Realtors here in Plymouth, Michigan. We service the southeast corner of the state of Michigan, right in the mitten here. And if you have any questions, or have any comments, please put them down below. We'd be glad to answer those. And if there's a community that you would like to hear about, we'll try to get that information up and about for you today too. So let's sort of jump into it because it's we got a lot to go over today, and let's again go over why this isn't the same as 2008. Now, back then, it was, they call it Great Recession. Just over a decade ago, the financial system of the world depended on the started to collapse. It was a great panic over the large companies started to go out of businesses, and many of the bankruptcies. Okay, what we're finding is the financial institutions also started collapsing. And what we're going to talk about is this came out of the Post from Reality Track. They explained, we changed the rules. We told the banks they needed to have more reserves and that they could no longer underwrite toxic mortgage. That's when they had these, appreciation mortgage where they jumped up as time would go on. Their interest rates would jump up. People just couldn't stay up with them. Okay, it turns out the regulations, when properly done, can save us the financial minefields that we went through. Okay, here's the results. Sort of give you an idea what happened back then. Bank failures. In 2008, okay, there was 25 bank failures in that year. The year before that, there was 3. Okay, 2008 there was 25, as I said. In 2009, they jumped up to 140 banks failed, and 2010, 157 banks failed. And then it started to go down to like 92, 51 in the couple of years after that. So what I'm looking at between 2007 and to the current date, there's always going to be some failures that go along. And it looks like 3 to 5 banks a year go out of business for some reason. Okay, so in 2019, 2020, only 4 banks went out of business. In 2015, 16, and 17, we had 8, 5, and 8 respectively. So we're below some of those dates, and it's sort of interesting to see back then how many banks went out of business compared to today. Okay, what is the difference? The Post mentions that in 2008, the government saw the foreclosure meltdown as a top-down problem and set aside $700 billion for the banks under the Troubled Asset Refi program. Okay, TARP. Okay, not all $700 billion was used, but the important point is that the government did not act with equal favor for helping the failing homeowners. millions of whom lost their homes to foreclosure or short sales. Okay, this time the government forcefully moved in to help ordinary citizens, working with the bottom up. An estimated 5.3 trillion went into the public in 2020 through such mechanics as the Paycheck Protection Plan, the PPP program, expanded unemployment benefits, tax incentives, and help for local governments. So far this year, we have, the total of 1.9 billion American Rescue Plan with millions of the $1,400 checks, as well as a proposal to spend trillions more. The banks deposited increased in nearly 2 trillion during the past year, and credit card debt decreased. So we're seeing actually money going into the banks from the citizens. We're also seeing their credit cards decrease. We're also seeing that the equity in people's homes is increasing during this time. So the bottom line is many suffered over the past year. However, the economy toll for the current recession is nowhere near the scope of the Great Recession, and it won't result in a housing crisis. Now, this is through the Post, through, we mentioned it here from, RealTrack. Okay, so we had talked about this before, where there wasn't as many. A lot of people had applied for forbearance, and half of those people didn't even use them because they didn't need to. So, in the economy that we have going today, we have homeowners who might be in trouble because of lack of work or something of that nature, but they still have equity in their home. And we're going to see some of those houses come on the market here, but it's not going to be a short sale situation or a foreclosure situation. They're going to sell because they have the opportunity to sell. And we are starting to see more and more homes come on the market, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But that is one of the things that's going to keep us going, is the equity that we have in our homes. Now, the home appreciation, it's all about supply and demand. Now, years and years and years ago, as they say, back when I was in college, I majored in economics, and the supply and demand curve was debased to work everything out, work everything off of. Okay, so the home price appreciation continues to escalate. Yes, we know that. Okay, why? Today's prices are driven by a simple concept of supply and demand. Pricing of any item is determined by how many items are available compared to how many people want to buy it. As a result, a strong year-over-year home price appreciation is simple to explain. The demand for housing is up while the supply of homes sale hovers at a historic low. Okay, let's use, I got about 3 maps that I'm going to talk about today. That's going to show what's happening. A state-by-state appreciation report by the Federal Housing Finance Agency for the first quarter of 2021 compared to 2020, and that's what we've been looking at. There are 7 states: Washington, Idaho, Utah, Arizona, Maine, New Hampshire, and Connecticut. Those 7 states are actually appreciation of over 15% on their home pricing right now, where Michigan is at 12.6%. Okay, if you take sort of the Midwest area, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, we're all just, except for Illinois, they're just below 10%. But like Wisconsin's at 10.9, Indiana's at 13.1, Ohio's at 13.7. And Michigan's at 12.6. So that whole Midwest area, though, is hovering just above 10%. We're over across the United States, we're averaging 12.6. Guess what Michigan is? Right at the average. Okay, so let's take a look at the inventory and why that has gone up. Okay, inventory, and as I've been mentioning in the last, 2 months of doing this, live report, we're averaging here in the area, depending on the community that we're talking about, 50 to 55% below inventory. Well, this year-over-year change of housing inventory report brought Michigan at 50.8%, exactly what we've been talking about. So, comparing the two maps, the states that I mentioned, those 7 other states, those are the ones that have the most increase appreciation. They're also the ones that have the less inventory. Washington State has 54%. Idaho has 59, Utah 65% less inventory, and Arizona's 63. And you get over to the East Coast there of Maine is down 56%. Only Connecticut is only down 27%. All the other states that we had talked about, and here in the Midwest, again, we're looking at 54, almost 55%. So it's really looking at the having the low cost of being able to purchase with like a 3% mortgage rate and a high demand for buyers out there right now, and the low demand of homes. Now, the nice thing about this is, the question people are asking is there relief around the corner? And we go to our third map that we're going to talk about, and this is by Realtor.com. State by state, they've looked at the inventory levels, and actually we're starting to go up. And you're going to see that go up, especially during the summer, I believe. It's gone up 13.8% from month to month. So we're starting to increase, but looking back over the last year or so, we're still down. But with that in mind, as the map indicates, 39 of the 50 states are seeing an increase in inventory. So by having that increase in inventory, we're going to have more movement. There's a couple of reasons why we had low inventory. First of all, people with the pandemic, they were afraid to let people into their home. They didn't want to, expose themselves to the virus that was going on. But now that, and the other thing that we had was, where was I going to go? What house was I going to purchase? They had this fear that they didn't have control of how they were going to get from one home to the next. Even though we have systems in place where we protect our clients from moving from one home to another in this type of market, it's still an unknown factor, and we want to make sure that we get the right home. We don't want to just move into if we sold our house and we couldn't move into the home that we wanted to, that's not what people wanted to do. All right, and you don't blame them. So what we've been able to do is put in different systems in place where we can protect our people and make sure that they can stay in their home long enough so they can find the right home for them. But as more and more properties come on the market, that fear is going to decrease, and they're going to be able to come up with that market, or come up with the right home. Okay, so that is one of the things that we're looking at right now. And but as more and more homes come on the market, that fear is going to go away, and hopefully that trend will keep going here during the summer. And as we said, we're starting to see that coming up. So the main thing, though, it is a crazy market. Let me give you an idea of how crazy it is right now. We put in an offer on a property over the weekend. House is listed right around $325,000 or so. Okay, we went in with a very aggressive, we felt aggressive offer, and we had an escalation clause up to about $350 on the property. We did have also a gap insurance for the seller, saying that we'll pay $25,000 between appraisal value and the sale price. Okay, so that would ensure them that we would cover that. And we lost the offer by over $30,000. Okay, so someone was coming in at close to $175,000, $180,000, almost $50,000 above asking price. Now, I'm not going to recommend our clients to do that. I mean, if it's the right situation, the right property, and that's the one that they really want, and that's where they're going to live for a fair length of time so they can get that equity back into their home, that might be the best way to do it. But at the same time, right now, the homes are going to still be increasing in pricing. With the inventory, the price, when I say inventory, I mean the interest rates as low as they are right now, the cost of buying is driving that price up like that. And we've talked about that in the past. So, but having the right expert to explain some of these things to you is very, very important. And that's why through our report, we're not in a normal market right now, and it's going to be this way at least through the end of the year. Where I apologize, I have my phone coming on. I'll turn that off here so we don't get interrupted again. So, as I said, it's not a normal market. It's good to have an experienced guide coaching you through the process, both on the buying side and on the selling side. Because, well, one of the most important things on the selling side is pricing. Getting the right price to set up for your home is important. Example, we listed a property over the weekend here. It's a little a ranch home in Redford, priced it at $150. Okay, that was the right price. We got several, I think 9 offers sitting on the table here this morning. Most of them are at 160. We got 170. We got one. They're overbidding on these properties. It's going to appraise out around 145, 150. But we have it where when we get to competition going in, we got the gap appraisal. We have all these other things that will ensure our our seller getting that money into their bank and doing the right thing. On the other hand, is important for the buyer to be in place, to work with the agent, to understand, to negotiate the right contract for them and keep them in their budget and maintaining, a lot of agents out there are writing up offers with no inspection. Okay. I'll never guarantee. I wouldn't. I wouldn't recommend having a offer written up without an inspection on the property. Now, some people do it. Some agents do it. I wouldn't recommend it. Find out. We might put in the clause that we're going to write up. Something on the lines that. If we find an item that it costs more than, say, $3,000, then we'll negotiate that item. But if we're not going to negotiate anything less than, item under, $3,000 or $2,000 or something like that, that's one of the ways to make sure that the transaction moves forward, that we're not going to nitpick on the inspection, that we keep it going, especially in this type of marketplace. So, okay, but it's just with, it's sort of the perfect storm with low inventory and low mortgage rates, and that's causing a high buyer demand. We're getting these crazy bidding wars, and you need someone with you who understands the purchasing process. So here are just a few ways a real estate agent expert can help you out. First of all, we just mentioned the contracts. Okay, understanding the contracts and putting the disclosures and the contracts necessary in today's market is huge, in making sure that you're protected. Okay, and I'll say right off the bat, I am not an attorney. I don't claim to be. If you want to run these by an attorney, that's great. The thing about that is you probably want to have your attorney right at your side when you write these up, because the seller's not going to give you time to have an attorney review on the property. Okay, unfortunately, if there's multiple offers out there, they're going to take one that doesn't, because the way they're looking at it, that's a contingency that's going to kill the deal, and that's going to maybe reflect that they're not going to have that deal go through, and now they've lost the opportunity to sell the property with multiple offers. Okay, so understanding the contracts and making sure that they work. Experience. I've got 30 years of experience. It's having well versed. We've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly out there in the market. We've seen the recession. We've seen buyers markets. We've seen sellers markets. Okay, it's an opportunity for you know, to understand the whole picture of it. Okay, someone who has a real estate license. Okay, that's first of all, that's the base. You got to have a real estate license to do this job. Okay, but someone who might have a broker's license, someone who has a accredited buyer's representative, a short sale and foreclosure certification, a senior real estate specialist, real estate negotiation certification. These are all certifications that we have here on my team and that we're able to work with our clients on. Okay, having that expert and having that knowledge behind makes your transaction a little bit smoother, and hopefully we can be closing your deals on it for you. Okay, negotiations. The real estate agent is a buffer between you and the seller. Okay, we can work through difficulties and understanding the process. Okay, we've been there, we've done it. The average homeowner maybe has 3 or 4 homes in their lifetime. We do that in a week or a month. Okay, we're processing those negotiations. We're doing 60 to 100 transactions a year, and we want to make sure that you are taken care of, and we negotiate in your best interest. Okay, either on the selling side or the buying side. Okay, education, we talked about that a little bit already. The more education that we have now, it's not just having the education, but it's the ability to use that education to make your transaction easy as possible, as smooth as possible, with minimal bumps. This type of market, we're going to have bumps in the road. We're going to have situations that will come up that that's going to need to be worked through. Okay, the whole idea is, a lot of times we've been there, we've done that, we know how to handle those opportunities. Someone that does not have the education, does not have the experience, may or may not be able to handle those situations that will make it as smooth as possible for you and might end up costing you some money. Pricing. Again, on the sales side, it's so important right now to price a property right to get your multiple offer situations going. If you price it too high, you won't get the multiple offers out on the table. If you price it too low, you're not going to get as high as what you should be getting, because people are only going to go so much over that price. So, as we mentioned last week, was it used to be a list price was the start, and somewhere below that was where you would end up with at the sale price. Now, it's almost an auction price. This is the minimum that I'm willing to take. And as people start putting in offers, now we get prices way up here. But it's a magic number that you got to hit. You got to hit the market value of the property and make sure that people understand that. And at the same time, when you're accepting offers, you got to make sure that you're getting these gap clauses put into the purchase agreement. Because if they don't have those there, it comes back and praises. You're missing out on that money that's available there. On the sale side, or on the buying side of it, it's important to understand that we don't want you to get out of your comfort zone, your out of your budget because it's easy to do, because people get excited about a home, their dream home that they want. They've got to have this, but with the understanding that it's a home that we can probably find another one down the road, but at the same time, why not have this one? But we got to stay within your budget and make sure that you're able to afford it. So that's one of the reasons why inspections are so important, is because if you buy a home and there's a lot of upkeep or maintenance that needs to be done, you could be spending 30, 40, 50, $100,000 on a home, and it becomes a money pit, and you're not enjoying that home. Now you're living for the home instead of living for the right just enjoying the property. So these inspections are very important. So keeping them within your budget. So how do you choose the right expert for you when you're going through the purchasing or selling a process? It's all about trust. If you trust the agent and they give you, as they give you information and you're trusting that information, work with them. Work with them in finding that. You know, especially in today's market, agents not going to have all the answers, okay? But they're going to have enough answers. They're going to have enough knowledge. The true professional expert can give you the best advice for the information and the situation that they're handling, okay? It helps you to get from point A to point B to point C down the road, okay? So there are times where you're going to have to make some adjustments as they go. And as you do that, that expert is going to be able to advise you on how to make these adjustments. Going back to the first sale that we had over the weekend, where it's a $325,000 home, I would not recommend going up to 380, 390 on a property like what we had there. Okay, there was some repairs that were going to have to be made on the property, even though it's a very, very, very nice property. Okay, and if it checked off a lot of the boxes for my client, going $70,000 over appraised value, which I felt that the list price was pretty close to the appraised value. Unless it was the perfect dream home for them, it wasn't worth it. So in our discussions in writing up the offer, and I said, okay, this is the best we want to go, right? And this is what you can afford. This is what you can afford comfortably. We want to make sure that we're working with them and keeping them in check, per se, because emotions can take over for the buyer and the seller. Part of our job as agents is to keep those emotions under control, so we don't get out of our comfort zones and so we can come back to them a year after that and say, hey, how's that new home coming? And they can look you in the eye and say, hey, it's a great home and we appreciate it and we appreciate what you've done for us. So it is critical right now to work with a real estate expert who understands how the market is changing and how that means to you as a home buyer and seller. As we talked about just a little while ago, the market is changing. There's more homes starting to come on the market. There is going to be a shift here during the summer, going on into the fall. So it's going to be important that if you're listing a home right now, there's going to be a shift. Now's I think a great time to list a home, because you're going to see more homes come on the market and you're going to have more opportunities here in the next little bit to be able to purchase your next home. Okay, but it's timing and writing up our purchase agreements in a proper way, proper manner, to make sure that you have the time to go from one to the next. Or we can use a lot of other sources there, from bridge loans to equity lines and some other things that can help you out with that too. So I hope you enjoyed our information today. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can get in touch with me at my direct line here in my office is area code 734-392-6021. You can follow me on Popular Michigan Homes on Facebook, or you can email me at bruce@brucewebb.com. I hope you have a great Michigan day, and let's talk soon. Bye now.